Good morning, folks. We're finally getting some much needed moisture out here in middle Nebraska. Perfect day to go work in the shop. Let's go do some stuff. So I think we're going to get into a wanna do today. We've got all our have to do's done. We have a couple need to do's, but I'd rather do a wanna do. I'm going to start our barbecue project here. I've got everything kind of here in the same area ready to go. I've got the old propane tank over here, so it's out of the way in the other side of the shop. But we need to put this trailer on a diet because it's taking up a lot of space in here as it sits now. We need to cut all of these exterior pieces off all the way around the trailer. And then we also need to cut the rear of this trailer off because the firebox is going to kind of hang over the back. So we're going to get our cutoff wheel out here and get all of these things buzzed off. And then I think we're also going to get our firebox out of here with our little hoist, get it over here. And we'll get our tank prepared to weld our firebox on. The top of this propane tank is actually going to turn into the bottom. So we got to cut a hole over here for the firebox to weld onto. Then we'll flip it over, weld it onto the firebox, and we can start getting this thing mounted. But like I said, let's start carving these off. Got the outside all cleaned up. We're going to be reusing these angle irons here on the corners because we're going to have a wood basket down here on both sides that we can put firewood in for our firebox. So now we're going to work on cutting the back side of this trailer off. We're going to figure out how far back this thing needs to come. I want to come back far enough to where if we're going to put the fenders on, we can do that, and also some tail lights here in the back. So we're not going to know exactly where this firebox is going to sit until we get it all put together. So for right now, we're just going to cut it 1.5 inches back from the tire. And I just got this piece of angle iron that we're eventually weld in there. It'll be shorter, of course, but we just got it there to mark it straight line. So we'll get this back end cut off here. We may even be inside the tires at some point. We just don't know yet. Okay, we got the rear end of this thing cut off. Take up a lot less room in the shop now. So I'm not going to put this piece on yet, like I said. What we can do is we have this new hitch that came with the trailer. This old hitch is kind of clapped out and missing parts. So we'll trim this up and make it so I can weld this hitch on the front. And then we can get that welded on, and this thing is towable again. So this new hitch is made to go on a piece of 3-inch channel. I have a piece of 3-inch channel that was left over from our wagon project, if you remember that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the ball portion of this off. We'll cut these safety chains off. We'll re-add those again later. And then we'll cut a piece of channel to go fit right over the top of this. Make it long enough to put our hitch on, and then we'll weld it real good around here, and then we can either bolt or weld our hitch onto a piece of that channel after we cut one to length. So let's get this cleaned up first. So my 3-inch channel does not fit over the top of this, so I would have to weld it to the side. So what I'm thinking now is I'm going to go ahead and remove this all the way off. I'll scarf these welds off here. That way we got a nice flat surface there to weld to. And then I'll take advantage of that. When we cut our 3-inch channel, we'll make a lifted hitch to go on here. So this trailer rides level, because as it is right now, if we were to hitch this up to the pickup, it would be low in the back. And with the firebox in the back, we don't want to be dragging our firebox on stuff. So we'll cut a longer piece of channel iron. We'll cut a notch in it to where it comes up. We need about 21 inches to the top of the ball. So we'll incorporate that into the hitch that we build. Got our piece cut off. I'm excited. I got the big 9-inch grinder now to make short work of this. I don't have to mess with my little 4.5 for that. Our tongue is all cleaned up here. So we've got 4.5 inches from here out to the edge. So what I did is I just went from this corner here, measured back 4.5 inches and connected our line. So we'll cut this piece off of both sides, and that'll give us a good long weld. That'll utilize this whole section here, and that'll put us up at an angle. And then we'll figure out how far we got to come up to get our 21-inch height. We've got our piece cut. We've leveled the trailer out, make sure we're good and level. So all we got to do now is come out here and figure out where 21 inches is. It's about right there, so we'll make a mark, and that'll be where our hitch ball needs to be. There's our cut that we got to cut out, and then that's the length that we need for our hitch to connect to. And then we're not welded, so we can unclamp this, put this up in the vise, and make those cuts real quick. We'll heat that up, bring that together, and clean all this up with the wire wheel so it's nice and clean to weld with. Then we can get her installed. Our notches are cut. Going to get the torch, heat this up across here, just bend her on over. You can see our bubble there is close enough. That's going to work. Just got to weld it up now. Got it all welded up. Went ahead and put the hitch on too while we had it on the vise. A lot easier to weld that there. So now we just need to triangulate, measure around, make sure our hitch is perfectly straight with the trailer, and then we'll weld it around there. Got our hitch all welded on, and I welded the safety chains back on up here closer to the hitch. We already have a jack for the tongue here. I just have to buy that weld-on collar. They sell those at Tractor Supply, so I can just weld it on the back, and then the pin will go through that, and this jack will rotate once it's hooked up to a vehicle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get the hoist and bring our firebox out of that hole back there. Firebox is out here. It's just an old wood stove is all it is. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'll get to my cutoff wheel over here. I'm going to take off some of these unnecessary things here. And then this hole will be left open for a grease drain. We'll get some pipe plugs just to put in these just to keep air from going in there. So we'll clean this up a little bit. Got that mess all cleaned up. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these hooks off because they're not necessary. Remember, that's going to be the bottom. There's one on each side. We'll just cut those off and clean them up like it was never there. So next thing I want to do is we want to start cutting our hole for where our firebox fits in. And then this is the outlet for the firebox. We're going to remove this damper because that's not needed. But I want this firebox to sit right on the bottom of the smoker. So I need to cut down where this full width of this outlet can go in here as close to the bottom as we can get. And then from that line, I will measure up to here. So from here to here. And that'll tell me where to put my next cut down here. And we'll cut a hole in here, and then we'll flip this tank over, put it on the hoist. We'll slide it in here, and then we'll work on the rest of the cuts as we can, because this is going to be a little tricky because this is tapered here on the back. So we'll just slide it in little by little, keep marking and keep coming in until we get a good fit. And then that's going to get welded all the way around. We're going to weld this firebox to this tank. Got our tank level here. We have measured our outlet as 12 inches wide. So we found the center, and then we went 6 inches either way. I measured off this line 3 inches, so we have the same there. And then we used the laser, and we marked this line right here. So we need to cut it at this point, and then we need to measure down here to see what this height is. We'll do that right now. So this measurement is 7 1/4. So we need 7 1/4 opening for that top to go in also. And we'll use that same 3 inches. And then once we get this thing flipped over and set on the firebox, we'll start cutting all the other stuff. Okay, we got our 7 1/4. We put a big square here and we eyeballed down it to get our straight line. We're going to start with this hole here and see how it goes, and then just kind of fit it. Got our hole cut. We did most of it with the plasma. So we're going to flip the tank over now, see how we can try to mate this up. Well, that was quite a job fitting that together. But you can see we got a pretty good fit all the way around. Got it all tacked together. Pretty tight all the way around. So, super cool. It's not going to be this high on the trailer. I just got it sitting on here. It's sitting on the axle, and it won't be setting on the axle, and plus it's going to go back a little ways too. We got to get our cross member on there, and then once we get our cross member, figure out where it's going to go, we can back this thing up and lower it down and weld the firebox to the cross member or bolt it, whichever. But I got no problem welding it because this thing's never going to come off. So I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight because it's getting dark outside and we need to go in and get some supper. But that kind of gives you an idea what we're up to here. It's coming together real good. I'm pleased with the progress we got done today. Another day we'll have this thing hanging on the trailer, and then we can start cutting the doors. One of these brackets is going to come off, like this one and this one. And then these brackets right here support the door when the door's open. Keeps the door from flopping all the way over, so it's pretty handy. But we got to cut the door out of here too, and then make the grates and all that. So hope you enjoyed hanging out with me in the shop today. It's a fun project. I've been looking forward to this for a while, but we just got the trailer here a while back. You saw us get it at the auction, so couldn't really move forward until we got the trailer. So, till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at the farm.